I apologize for the glare. I think of that old song. I think Connie Francis sang it, Where the Boys Are. It looks like the internet isn't working for dudes because there's too many men chasing too few women on the dating sites. There's too much scamming and too many safety issues, which is why women typically are in the minority going on those dating apps and dating sites. But also, it appears that those Asian women with 4B, they're not buying into men's bullshit. The right-wing men's bullshit, being docile and all that crap. So they're not doing it. And increasingly women in other parts of the world, they're finding out they don't want to do this shit of trading their bodies for to get citizenship or whatever, to get the hell out of their countries. So more and more dudes, they find out the bars aren't all that great. There's too many women with too much ambition, or they just aren't willing to put up with them anymore. So they figure the last resort and the most misogynist, favorably misogynist places they could go are the right-wing churches. The so-called evangelicals, you know, the charismatic Pentecostal types, the Reconstructionist types. And they figure they can find somebody docile there. It reinforces their own sexist attitudes about women. And they hope to find a perfectly docile woman who will tolerate their shit. And they're going to, you know, those women are few and far between. And in fact, now they're finding out that young men are more religious than young women. I mean, it's always been, churches have always been heavily dependent on women for their time and their support. But over the decades, women have gotten sick and tired of it. They've gotten sick and tired of being taken advantage of. They're sick and tired of doing the shit work. But yet they don't have a seat at the table at too many of these churches. They don't get to be pastors, or they don't get to be leaders of any kind. They're supposed to be submissive and breed, get married and breed, and be homemakers, which has very little relevance today, in today's economy, in today's society. So it is absolutely hilarious to see this. It isn't so much that men are flocking there. It's kind of the dregs that are left. And some men are flocking to it. But it's the women who are leaving in droves because of that. And that's one of the reasons you're getting all this pushback on abortion and stuff. Is because there's a mindset in this culture that no, women need to be back in the home. They need to be take men's orders, and they aren't doing it anymore. So lots of luck, dudes, finding a willing partner if you have lots of luck. But when I was young, it was in pre-internet days, yeah, you had to go to the bars to find men. Because they'd tell you, oh, you can go to church, you can join a club, you can meet them on the street, or go to college or whatever. And if you're past college age, that doesn't work. None of those work. And I wasn't really big on doing any of that anyway, that partnering stuff. So I just didn't do it. But bars were the only places you would find men. And a lot of men who were unsuitable. And because they'd go there and pick up women. But now, hey, none of that's working. And the dating apps don't work. So, hey, let's just go to church. Because they know they figure, these right-wing churches figure, they figure they're going to have all this power over women and kids. Anyway, good riddance to that shit. So religion's going right down the tubes. And let's see. Yeah, the Supreme Court continues to try to hand the election to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, because they continue to side against attempts to preserve women's rights to health care. And the Supreme Court on Monday rejected the Biden administration's attempt to require emergency abortions in Texas when needed to prevent serious injury to the mother, or the pregnant woman, should say. Over the administration's objections, the court, without comment, let stand a lower court's ruling that abortions violate Texas's strict abortion ban aren't required under federal law. And, you know, just makes up shit. They're just making up shit as they go along. Partisan political shit. And, of course, old Ted Cruz, one of the senators there, who's so beloved in the Senate, and I say that sarcastically, he's having a race for his life in terms of re-election, his political life. So it would be great if he lost the election. I'd like to see a number of these dudes out, or these politicians out, these right-wing Republicans out, and hopefully the Democrats can hold on to all their seats that are up for re-election. But anyway, yeah, that was one thing. And another thing I saw too was old DeSantis was trying through agencies, was having them try to yank an ad in Florida which would support their measure there that would preserve abortion rights. I mean, they're just shooting themselves in the ass the more they go along, because their anti-abortion attitude is increasingly fringe. Yeah, the extremist views are quote-unquote being mainstreamed, but they're fringe. They're still fringe. They're still fringe attitudes. And we're not polarized on this issue at all as a country. So they're going to get, the anti-abortion people, they're going to get their asses handed to them. Now, whether the supermajority vote is attained in Florida, that remains to be seen. I hope to hell to pass that measure. But I hope to hell that they do it, because these politicians are pissing people off. And yeah, I saw the debate last week of old Vance and Walz. And, you know, Vance is so polished, you know, he was educated at Yale, but he really didn't say anything, or he made it slick, his extremist views. But Walz really got him there in the last half hour of the debate over January 6th. Just ripped him to pieces. And so Walz actually, quote-unquote, won the debate. And would anyway, because Vance, despite his slickness, told nonstop fibs. So there was that. And that's probably about it for me. I've been doing some postcard writing for the volunteering to do that for the Minnesota 2nd District. And apparently there is a local Democratic headquarters here. They just moved there in the other end of town. And I don't know. I don't know if I'll try to volunteer at all. I don't like knocking on doors and making phone calls. I don't like that stuff. But the postcards are pretty good, as long as I can get the postage out. And I'm home because I got sick. I don't know if it's diverticulitis or what it is, but man, it's just it feels like a ton of gas pressure on me. And I was just completely exhausted yesterday. So I'm going to take today and tomorrow off too. And then return Thursday because Friday is a day off. So anyway, that's kind of all the rambling I have to do right now. So anyway, I thought that article about the Generation Z dudes was damn hilarious. Because they're going to find that those women, those docile women, are getting fewer and fewer and fewer. Because once they get a taste of independence, they're not gonna tolerate the BS that men try to con them with. Millions of women still do buy into it, but it's increasingly more are saying, to hell with it. So anyway, that is it.